know what brought you here tonight. Not the algorithm, not a recommendation, not curiosity. Something deeper than any of those things, something that doesn't have a name yet, but you've been carrying it for a long time. Maybe so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to set it down. You came here because there is someone you miss. And that missing, that ache that sits in the center of your chest like a stone that learned to breathe, it doesn't go away, does it? Not with time, not with distraction, not even with prayer. Though Lord knows you've tried. You've whispered into the dark at 3 a.m. when the house is so quiet. It feels like the walls are listening. And you've asked, sometimes begged, for just one moment of peace. For one night where the grief doesn't wake you. For 1 hour where the memory doesn't arrive uninvited and take up all the space in the room. And maybe you've wondered if anyone is listening at all. That's the question you don't say out loud, isn't it? The one that sits beneath all the others. You believe, you want to believe, but there are nights when the silence feels so vast that faith becomes a thread you hold with trembling fingers, wondering if it will hold or if it was never really there to begin with. I see you. Not the version of you that smiles at the grocery store, that tells the neighbor, I'm doing fine, that keeps moving through the days like someone who has it all together. I see the version that sits in the kitchen at midnight, holding a photograph or a memory, or just the echo of a voice that used to fill that same room. I see the version that asks, why does it still hurt this much after all this time? And I want to tell you something. Something I think you already sense. The way you sense a change in the weather before the sky darkens. There is a reason this ache has not left you, and it is not what you think. It is not punishment. It is not a test you're failing. It is not evidence that your prayers are falling on deaf ears. What if I told you that the very thing you've been trying to make go away is the thing that is trying to lead you somewhere you've never been before? There is an ancient voice, older than any of us, older than the grief we carry, older than the words we use to try and contain it. And it has been speaking about this exact moment, about you, about the ache of missing someone so deeply that the world itself seems to dim. This voice said something about still waters, about green pastures, about a table prepared in the presence of the things that frighten us most. It spoke of a shepherd who does not run from the lost, but who walks into the dark to find them. You may recognize those words, or they may feel like something you've always known but never quite heard, like a song from childhood that surfaces suddenly. And for a moment, you can almost remember where you were when you first heard it. That voice is going to walk with us through this entire time together, not as a sermon, not as a lesson, but as a presence, the kind that sits beside you and doesn't try to fix anything, because some things aren't meant to be fixed. Some things are meant to be witnessed. And that's what I want to offer you right now. Not answers, not solutions, but the rare and sacred experience of being truly seen. In your missing, in your longing, in the quiet devastation of loving someone you can no longer reach. Because here is what I have come to understand, and what I believe you are about to understand too. The missing itself is not the end of the story. It is not even the hardest chapter. It is the doorway. And what waits on the other side is something so tender, so unexpectedly full of grace, that you may find yourself weeping. Not from grief this time, but from a recognition so deep, it feels like coming home. But we're not there yet. There is something that has to happen first. Something inside you that has to soften before the rest can be revealed. And that softening begins with a single question that most people are too afraid to ask themselves when they're missing someone they love. That question I left you with, the one most people are too afraid to ask. Here it is. What if the missing isn't happening to you but for you? I know. That sentence may feel like a provocation, maybe even a betrayal of the pain you're carrying. But stay with me for a moment, because this is where something begins to shift. And I want you to feel it rather than think about it. Think about a river, not a river in flood, the kind that crashes and roars and demands attention. Think about the quiet river, the one that moves through a valley so gently that if you stood on its bank and closed your eyes, you might forget it was there at all. That river doesn't hurry. It doesn't force its way through the landscape, and yet it never stops moving. It carries everything: the rain, the soil, the memory of mountains it has never seen, and it deposits each thing exactly where it needs to be, in its own time, without asking permission. Now, here is something that ancient voice said, the one that spoke of green pastures and still waters. It said, "He restores my soul." 3 words, but look at what they don't say. They don't say he fixes your situation. They don't say he brings the person back. They don't say he makes the pain disappear. He restores. Restores. Like a river restoring water to a land that has forgotten what green looks like. Not by arguing with the drought, but by simply arriving steadily, without fanfare. And maybe that's what's been happening inside you without your permission. This ache, this missing, it has been restoring something that you didn't know was broken. Not the relationship, not the presence, something deeper, something underneath the relationship, underneath even the grief. Let me ask you something, and I want you to let the question sit before you reach for an answer. When you miss this person, what is it that you're actually missing? Is it their voice, their touch, the way they made you feel? Or is it something that was present in their presence? Something that, if you're honest, you sense still exists even without them? Because here is the thing that people rarely talk about when it comes to grief and longing. The love that you carry for someone you've lost, whether they're across the country or across the threshold of this life, that love doesn't belong to them. It was never produced by them. They didn't create it. They were the occasion for it, yes. They were the place where it showed up. But the love itself, that capacity to hold another person so deeply that their absence creates a physical ache, that love came from somewhere older and larger than any single human relationship. And the voice that spoke of still waters knew this. The voice that said, "He restores my soul." It was written by someone who understood what it meant to lose. A shepherd who knew what it was to search for a sheep that had wandered and might not be found. A king who knew what it was to be hunted and to hunt, to hold power and to lose everything, to sin and to be forgiven. That voice came from a man who had buried his own grief in poetry, because sometimes the only honest language for pain is the language that refuses to be literal. Here is what I want you to consider. What if the ache you feel is not the absence of the person, but the presence of something else, something that only became visible when they left? There's a door here, and it's already opening. But what's on the other side is not what you'd expect. It's something far more personal, and it has been waiting for you since before you knew this pain. That door I mentioned, the one that's already opening, let's walk through it together. I want you to think about something that happened in your life that you didn't plan. Not a tragedy, not a loss. Something smaller, a detour, a wrong turn that led you somewhere you needed to be. A phone call that came at the exact moment you were about to give up on something. A stranger who said something that sounded ordinary at the time, but that you still carry with you years later, because it cracked something open inside you that needed to crack. You've had those moments, haven't you? Everyone who has lived past 50 has a collection of them. Small, unexplainable intersections where something that looked like coincidence revealed itself, sometimes years later, as something else entirely. The voice that spoke of still waters, It knew about this too. It said, "He leads me beside still waters. He leads me." Not pushes, not drags, leads. The way a hand rests gently on your back when you're walking through unfamiliar territory. The way morning light doesn't force itself through a window, but arrives so gradually that by the time you notice, the whole room has changed. And here is where I need to tell you something that may sting a little, but I promise the sting is not the point. It's the doorway. The person you miss. You have been carrying them as if they were the source of what you felt in their presence, as if they manufactured the peace, the joy, the feeling of being truly seen. And because you believe they were the source, their absence feels like the source has been taken away, like a river whose spring has dried up, like a house whose furnace has gone cold in the middle of January. But what if the spring was never theirs? What if the warmth was never coming from them? Think about the ocean for a moment. When you stand at the shore and feel the pull of the tide, you don't say the ocean is giving you something. You say you're experiencing something vast that was already there, that has always been there, and you simply had the privilege of standing close enough to feel it. The ocean doesn't lose anything when you walk away, and you don't lose the ocean. You lose the proximity. You lose the view. But the vastness, that was never created by your standing there, and it is not destroyed by your leaving. What you felt in the presence of the person you miss, that love, that warmth, that sense of being held and known, it passed through them the way light passes through a window. The window is real. The window matters. Without it, the light wouldn't have entered the room in that particular way. But the light was never the window's to keep. And when the window is closed, by distance, by time, by death itself, the light does not cease. It simply waits for another opening. The ancient voice said, "He restores my soul." And restoration, real restoration, is not the return of what was lost. It is the discovery that what you thought you lost was never the thing itself. It was the vessel. The vessel is gone, and that grief is real, and I will never ask you to pretend otherwise. But the contents, the love, the warmth, the peace, the feeling of being truly known, those did not belong to the vessel. They were poured through it, and they are still here, still flowing, still looking for a place to land. Here is what begins to happen when you understand this. Not with your mind, but somewhere deeper, somewhere beneath the ribs. The ache doesn't vanish, but it changes. It stops being a wall and becomes a window. And through that window, something is trying to reach you. Something that has been trying to reach you for a very long time. Something that uses the very emptiness you've been running from as its pathway in. But to feel it, to truly let it arrive, there is one thing you've been holding that you will need to set down. And we haven't talked about it yet, because I needed you to be ready. That thing you've been holding, the thing I said you'd need to set down. Let me tell you what it is. It's the belief that letting go means losing them again. That's the fear, isn't it? That if you stop gripping the ache, if you loosen your hold on the missing even slightly, it means you're forgetting. It means you're moving on. It means the love wasn't real, wasn't deep enough to last, wasn't what you said it was. And so you hold the grief like a torch you refuse to set down, even when it burns your hand, because the burn is the only proof you have that the love was real. But I want you to notice something, and I want you to notice it in your body, not in your thoughts. Right now, wherever you are, sitting in your living room, lying in bed, driving home in the dark, notice your hands. Are they closed? Not literally, perhaps, but somewhere inside, there is a fist, a gripping, a holding on that has become so familiar you don't even feel the effort anymore. The way you stop feeling the weight of a coat you've been wearing for hours. The ancient voice, the one that has been walking with us, said something extraordinary about this. It said, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Now hear that carefully. Not around me, not above me, not watching from a distance. With me, in the valley, in the shadow, in the very place where the missing lives, where the grief has built its home and hung its curtains and settled in like it pays rent. The voice doesn't say the valley disappears. It doesn't say the shadow lifts. It says something more radical, that in the deepest darkness, there is a presence that walks beside you, not a presence that removes the pain, a presence that transforms what you do with it. Here is what I mean, and this is the seed I want to plant in you now, even though it won't fully bloom until everything comes together. The pain of missing someone is not the opposite of love. It is love, continuing to move after the person has stopped moving. It is love with nowhere to go, pooling in the body, looking for a door, and when you grip it, when you hold it like a wall, it stagnates. It becomes heavy. It becomes the thing you carry instead of the thing that carries you. But when you set it down, not by forgetting, not by replacing, not by moving on, but by letting it flow, something happens that no one told you about. The love doesn't disappear. It doesn't diminish. It expands. It finds its door. And on the other side of that door is something you have been starving for without knowing it. A peace that doesn't erase the love, but fulfills it. A stillness that doesn't silence the memory, but gives it room to breathe. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Not after the enemies are gone, not once the battle is over. In the presence, right there, in the middle of everything that frightens you, everything that hurts, everything that feels like it could swallow you whole. A table is being prepared. A place is being set for you, specifically for you. And there is a cup involved. The voice mentions a cup. My cup overflows. That cup has been filling this entire time. Every tear, every prayer whispered at 3 a.m, every moment you reached for the phone to call someone who isn't there. It hasn't been falling into emptiness. It has been filling something. And what it has been filling is about to reveal itself. But first, and this is the last step before everything changes, there is one more thing that has to happen. One more thing you need to hear. And it is not what you expect. It is quieter than everything else I've said. Simpler. So simple, in fact, that you may have been stepping over it every single day without seeing it. The way you step over a threshold without ever looking down, even though the threshold is what has been holding the door the whole time. That threshold I mentioned, the one you've been stepping over every day without seeing. It's simpler than you think. It's not a technique. It's not a practice. It's not 5 steps to healing or 3 keys to letting go. It's a single shift in understanding, and it's been trying to reach you through every single thing we've talked about so far. If you're here with me right now, if you've listened this far, through the valleys and the still waters and the open doors, you are exactly the kind of person I hoped would find this video. Not because everyone isn't welcome, but because something in you was ready to hear it. Something in you said yes before you even pressed play. And that kind of readiness, that willingness to sit with discomfort long enough for it to become something else, that's rare. That's the kind of faith that doesn't make headlines, but moves mountains quietly. The way roots move earth beneath a forest floor where no one is watching. So I want to ask you something. If this message spoke to you, if something in these words felt like it was reaching a place you'd forgotten existed, subscribe to this channel and walk with us daily. Not because I'm asking for numbers, Because there are mornings when a single voice in your ear can be the difference between carrying the weight alone and remembering you don't have to. That's what this community is. A place where the weight gets shared. You know, there's something that happens as we get older. And if you're past 50, you already know this in your bones. The things that used to seem urgent start to lose their grip. The noise dims. And what remains, the few things that still matter when everything else falls away, those become sacred. The faith you carry now is not the faith you had at 20. It's been tested in fire. It's been cracked and mended and cracked again. And somehow, it holds. That's not weakness. That's the most durable kind of strength there is. The kind that only comes from surviving its own breaking. And that strength, that seasoned, weathered, unshakable faith, is exactly what's about to carry you through what comes next. Because everything we've built together, every image, every question, every verse of that ancient voice walking beside us, it all converges now. The threshold is here. The door is open. And what waits on the other side is not just the end of the ache. It's something so much larger. Something that has been trying to find you since before you had a name for the missing. Everything depends on what happens in these final moments together. So stay with me, because the prayer that began in silence is about to be spoken aloud. And you need to hear every word. That threshold you've been stepping over, the one so simple you couldn't see it, here it is. You don't have to stop missing them. You never had to stop. You only had to stop believing the missing was a wall. It was never a wall. It was always a window. And through that window, something has been reaching for you this entire time. Not despite the ache, but through it. Through the very thing you thought was blocking grace. Grace was arriving. Now hear the voice, the whole voice. The one that has been walking beside us since the beginning. The shepherd's song that has survived 3,000 years because it was written for exactly this moment. For exactly you, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Hear it now, not as words on a page, but as the architecture of what has been happening inside you since the day the missing began. The green pastures were never a place you travel to. They are what grows in you when you stop fighting the stillness. The still waters were never a destination. They are what moves through you when you let the love flow instead of holding it like a closed fist. The valley of the shadow was never a punishment. It was the path, the only path, that could bring you to the table that was already prepared. The cup was never empty. It was filling with every tear, every whispered prayer at 3 a.m, every moment you reached for someone who wasn't there and found, instead, something you couldn't name. That something has a name now, and it has been here the whole time. Goodness and mercy, not chasing you from behind, walking with you all the days of your life, not the days that were, the days that are, the days that are coming. The ones you couldn't see because the missing was filling the whole space, so full it could only overflow. The person you miss, they were the window. The light was never theirs. And the light has not stopped shining. It is shining now, in the place where you sit, in the ache that is softening right now into something you don't have a word for, because the word hasn't been invented yet. It's that personal, that yours, that new. You don't have to stop missing them. You never did. You only had to let the missing become what it was always trying to become. A prayer, not a prayer of begging, not a prayer of bargaining, the oldest kind of prayer, the kind that is simply paying attention to the love that refuses to die, and trusting that the love itself is the answer even when the question has no words. The shepherd said, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." Not chase, follow, as if goodness and mercy are walking behind you, quietly, patiently, gathering every tear, every whispered name, every moment you thought you were alone, and they are carrying all of it somewhere. Somewhere that has a table, somewhere that has a cup, somewhere that has been prepared since before you knew this pain, and will remain long after the pain has finished becoming what it was always becoming. And what was it becoming? Peace. Not the absence of the ache. Peace that holds the ache like a mother holds a child, not to take the crying away, but so the crying is not alone. The missing is not the end of the love story. It is the love story, continuing in a language you are only now learning to hear. You are not alone in the valley. You never were. And the house you thought you were walking toward, it was never ahead of you. It has been around you this whole time, built from every prayer you ever whispered, every memory you ever held, every morning you chose to keep going when going felt impossible. You are already dwelling in it. You always were. If this message moved something inside you, if you felt even a single moment where the ache shifted, where the missing became something lighter, do two things for me. First, share this video with 5 people you know who are carrying someone they miss. 5 people who whisper into the dark and wonder if anyone hears. They need this, and you know who they are. Second, leave a comment, not about what you think, but about what you felt. One honest sentence. And if there is a prayer, a question, a burden you'd like us to walk through next, tell me. I read every word. Until then, the table is prepared, the cup overflows, and the love you carry has not been in vain. Not one moment of it. Not ever.